one problem that may exist with the book. Some of these exhibits that are in here may be objectionable, and they may not be admitted into evidence. So, as they're passed out and as you're looking at them, I only want you to look at the exhibits that counsel is referring to. No other exhibits. Don't thumb through the book. And after the testimony, we'll take out exhibits that have been objected to and may not be admitted, and give you the books back. Or if there's no objection to the exhibits, you can just keep the books and take them back to the jury with you, like all the other exhibits. Is that sufficient?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right.
May we approach it?
Yes.
Thank you.
The handbook marked for identification is Exhibit 67A. Do you recognize that document?
Yes.
Page 23.
Yes.
Did you sign it individually as a tenant?
Yes.
Did you sign it as manager of City Center Complex LLC?
Yes.
If I could refer you, please, page 2, Article 1.3. You see that?
Yes.
The use of the premises was to be as a residence, correct?
Correct.
Then if I could, please, refer you to rider number 4, rider number 4, page 3 of the attachments labeled prohibited uses.
Okay.
Go down to number 12. Do you see number 12 there?
Yes.
You still on Exhibit 67A?
Yeah. Your Honor, it appears that the portion of the exhibit didn't make it into the
Yeah, I don't
and we'll supplement it. We will supplement it at the break. We will take it directly out of the original, so the original wasn't the original.
Not in my copy either.
Right. I mean, from the court report, right, I don't think it was in the original, so I'm going to have to find out what happened there.
Okay.
Go down to number 12. Do you see number 12 there?
Yes.
A prohibited use was any residential use, correct? Including living quarters, sleeping apartments, lodging rooms, or lower level suites, correct?
Yes.
So the lease that you entered into with yourself both prohibited and permitted residential use, didn't it?
No.
No?
No.
Tell me how it doesn't.
Because this rider is a boilerplate rider that was attached that had nothing. It is incorrect.
So again, sort of like exhibit number 4. You really didn't intend to be bound by this prohibited use rider at the time you signed it. Is that true?
Correct.
Let me ask you, like exhibit 4, did you even read this before you signed it, or did you just sign it?
Just signed it.
As both his tenant and his landlord, correct?
Correct.
Let's take a look at Exhibit 69. Do you recognize Exhibit 69? Your Honor, the jury should not refer to Exhibit 69 at this time as it's admitted into evidence.
We'll let you know when you can look at it.
Yeah.
Is that the resident lease with...
Yes.
You have to wait until I'm finished. Anthony Santa Catarina.
Yes.
Move for the introduction of Exhibit 69.
Objection. All right, you may look at Exhibit 69.
And he's actually identified as the tenant in Article 1.03, correct?
Yes.
And again, under Article 1.13, the use is labeled residence, correct?
Yes.
And then if we look at rider number 4, we have a prohibited use of any residence, correct?
Correct.
Again, this document does not accurately reflect the actual intent of the parties entering into this use, correct?
No.
And you didn't read it before you signed it, did you?
No.
Did you sign it?
I would assume so. Let me look.
Page 23. It appears as if you did.
Yes.
And do you recognize Anthony's signature?
Yes.
Is that a copy of his signature?
It appears that way.
So if he executed it on the same day, June 1st, 2006, is it fair to say then that he moved in after that date also?
Yes.
Was it soon after these leases were executed that you began inhabiting the premises?
I'd have to look at the date of when I actually occupied because I know we had a lot of work to do.
Does Santa Catarina still live there?
No.
When did he move out?
I don't know the exact date. It's been a couple of years.
Did he ever move in?
Yes, briefly.
Have you paid rents pursuant to the lease?
Yes.
Up until the time the receiver was appointed, correct?
Correct.
And then you ceased paying rent?
No, I pay it to Paul Chael.
Oh, I see. And those rental payments are reflected in the ledgers and accounts kept by City Center that you made. Is that true?
I don't know.
Well, why wouldn't they be if they're not?
Because I don't have the paper in front of me. I don't know. I assume they are.
Well, who's in charge of that? Who's in charge of the accounting and bookkeeping for City Center?
My sister balances the books, but there was hardly any money. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. We had to deposit some of the other tenants. That would be me. I collected the rents.
And did you then deposit all of the rents into City Center's bank account?
Yes.
So if you were paying rents, it should be reflected in the deposit slips and on the general ledger as receipts, correct?
Yes.
And do you believe that for each month that you lived there, that happened up until the time that Paul Chael took over?
No.
And why not, if not?
Because an exceptional amount of money was owed me. And I took it, and I occupied in lieu of payment. And I did the same with Paul Chael to a certain extent.
What is that? You offset payments?
Pardon me?
You offset rental payments?
Yes.
With Paul Chael?
Yes.
The same way you did with City Center?
Yes, up to a point.
Was it the payments that City Center owed to you individually that you were offsetting?
Yes.
What payments did City Center owe you?
All the build-out costs.
Did you make loans to City Center?
Yes.
So it wasn't equity infusion, they were loans, correct?
Yes, they were, yes.
Are there any promissory notes or other documentation evidencing those loans?
Just the canceled checks.
And you still have those canceled checks?
Yes.
How much are they, do you believe?
I don't know.
But they were loans, they weren't equity infusions, correct?
Correct.
Did you ever make any equity infusions into City Center?
Yes.
And how were those denoted?
On the sworn construction statements.
What was that?
The checks, the loans, personal loans.
Well, I don't want to know about the loans.
That's equity, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm talking about equity infusions.
Yes.
What are they?
They were, you said other than the sworn construction statements, is that correct?
I did.
No.
Exhibit 67A. Was that given to Fifth Third?
Which one?
Exhibit 67A. Line 16.
Yeah, yes.
When was it given to Fifth Third?
I don't know.
Was it after June 1st, 2006?
I don't know.
Do you believe you may have given, who did you give it to?
I gave leases and LOIs initially to Brian Specht and then to Joanne Steiger when she took over for him because she said they couldn't find anything.
Do you believe you gave Exhibit 67A to Brian Specht?
06? Yes. When did he, I don't know when he left the bank.
March of 06. I want you to assume he left in March of 06. Do you still believe you gave it to Brian Specht?
No.
And these leases were signed at the same time. Is that true?
Yes.
They were given to Fifth Third because they were requested.
Yes.
And were you told that they were requested because they were needed to comply with the construction loan agreement, Exhibit 4?
Yes.
I'll show you what now has been marked by identification is Exhibit 70. You recognize that document?
Yes.
Have you seen this before?
Yes.
Is your signature affixed to the second page?
Yes.
And it's dated 12th day of March 2006. Is that the date you dated it?
Yes.
Is that the day you signed it?
Yes.
It was signed by the buyer, Joanne Botterman, true?
Yes.
And that's your estranged spouse?
Yes.
Move for the admission of Exhibit 70? I'm sorry, that's the incorrect reference, Your Honor. Should be 60. Should be 66.
You move for this admission.
Moving for the admission of Exhibit 66.
Any objections?
No.
Exhibit 66 is moved. You may now refer to 66.
It was signed by the buyer, Joanne Botterman, true?
Yes.
That's your estranged spouse.
Yes.
Did you question why the name Botterman was utilized at that time?
No.
And you had never seen her utilize that name before in how many years?
I've seen her utilize that name before.
Not since you were married, however, correct?
Yeah.
So she did use the Botterman from time to time during your marriage?
No, not during my marriage, no. I'm sorry, I was confused on that.
After the separation, did she use her maiden name?
She has, yes.
Were you separated on March 5th, 2005? Page 75.
Yeah.
You know what the date of your legal separation was?
No, I don't.
Sometime in 2005, was it?
I think it was prior to that.
This exhibit. you will supplement that exhibit at break. For now, I'll just refer to it as an exhibit without admitting it. 66 is still a
Okay. Which exhibit are we going to supplement?
It'll be 90,
All right, yeah, I
90 the last 99. It'll be supplemental with 99.
Sure, you understand that there's more material that goes with that exhibit that they'll be giving you at the break.
Line 16. Did you even sign, I'm sorry, did you even read exhibit 99 before you signed it? Or was it the same type of deal? You were just trying to move things along?
No, I read the terms, the price per square foot.
Who prepared this letter of intent?
Michelle Merrick.
Is she a realtor?
Yes.
And was she representing you or Joanne?
Me.
It says it's from Michelle to you, but you're saying she was actually representing you?
Yes.
Did you have a listing agreement with her?
Yes.
What were the terms of that agreement?
It was based upon a percentage, and I don't know what it is offhand.
Was it first year's rents or something to that effect?
Yeah, it was a percentage of the rents.
And did she receive commissions?
Yeah, yes.
Those were leasing commissions, not sales commissions, correct?
Correct.
On which units did she receive leasing commissions, if you recall?
If I recall, I thought it was Anytime Fitness and Cold Stone. I had a bunch of different ones.
Let me hand you what I marked for identification as Exhibit 68. Do you recognize that document?
Yes.
Did you sign it?
Yes.
Move the introduction of Exhibit 68.
No objection. All right, 68 is admitted. You may refer to 68.
Now, was it the intent on June 1st, 2006, that Rachel would inhabit one of those condominium residences?
Yes.
And even though this document is incomplete, was it a full lease, the same as the other residence leases were?
Yes.
So it would have the same inconsistencies on the use and prohibited use, correct?
Yes.
She was going to be paying $2,000 per month, is that right?
Yes.
What does your daughter do for a living?
She works for Hawk Enterprises.
Is she married?
No.
How old is she?
22.
How much does she make a year?
I don't know.
Is she 22 now?
Yes.
This is 09, so 3 years ago, when this was signed, she was 18, 19?
Yes.
She went right to work for Hawk Enterprises?
Yes.
Who owns that company?
Joanne Plink.
What does Rachel do there, do you know?
I don't know all of her duties. I know she deals with contracts.
Is it administrative, ministerial? Is she
Yes.
on the work site? Is she a project manager or anything like that?
No. Strictly office.
Did she sign that document?
Yes.
And you signed it on behalf of City Center, correct?
Yes.
Start at page 75, line 20. Why did she never take possession?
We couldn't build it.
So this was executed before the build-out, correct?
Yes.
Were the other 2 units completed at that point?
No, I don't think so.
Who's Joe Keel?
Joe Keogh is vice president of Hawk Inc.
How long has he been in that capacity?
02.
He has no ownership interest in the company, correct?
Correct.
Is he still employed by Hockey?
On a consulting basis.
Does he hold an office with Hockey at the present?
No.
Does he receive a salary?
No.
Has he ever received a salary from Hockey?
Yes.
When was the last time?
Up until a couple months ago.
My question was pertaining to City Center. So any issue that may arise that required some decision, Mary would bring to you if it pertained to City Center, correct?
Correct.
That is, if the bank had an issue, they needed a document, she would come and tell you about it, right?
Correct.
If they wanted an explanation or something to that effect, and it came to Mary, Mary would bring it to you, correct?
Or to Joe.
Why would she bring it to Joe?
Because most of the stuff was pertaining to the construction of the site.
And that would pertain to Hawk, correct?
Yes, in particular, the sworn construction statements.
I want you to turn to, look at Exhibit 4 again. Page 3, Article 5.2, entitled Project, at the top. I want you to read that to yourself.
Okay.
Do you see anything in that paragraph which could lead one to believe that residential use was permitted within the project?
No.
I mean, clearly prohibited by the article, correct?
Yes.
There were 6 sites contemplated, correct?
Correct.
There were going to be 4 two-story buildings, correct?
Correct.
Now, those 2-story buildings, the first floor was to be retail, correct?
Correct.
And the second story was to be office, correct?
Correct.
Had you secured bids for the work before that?
Yes.
Were those bids in writing?
I'd have to ask Joe.
Joe would know that?
Yes.
Is there anyone else that would know that, other than Joe?
No.
Were bids solicited?
Yes.
And for each trade, were bids solicited for more than one contract?
I would have to ask Joe Keel.
He was strictly in charge of that.
Yes.
Did you solicit any bids?
No.
Did you personally compile and examine any bids? Or was that part of Joe? Was that Joe's part of the work?
Joe's.
What was the division of responsibility between the two of you? Was there one?
Yes.
What was that?
Joe's primary function is for the acquisition and construction of the site as far as contractors, supplies, materials, and the administration of it.
Look at 1.3G on page 1. Read that to yourself.
Okay.
Did you have $210,000 in an account with Fifth Third Bank before you began construction of Building 1?
No.
Did you have $210,000 in an account with Fifth Third Bank at the time you began construction of Building 2?
No.
You agree with me that under 1.3G, that was required pursuant to this agreement, correct?
Correct.
Each time a draw was submitted, you submitted a sworn construction statement, correct?
Correct.
Was that submitted by City Center, or was it submitted by Hawk?
It was submitted by City Center.
Who prepared those sworns?
Mary.
Where did she get the information to prepare them?
Joe.
Did you review them before they were submitted?
No.
Did Joe review them before they were submitted?
You would have to ask him.
Did you review any of them?
No.
Did you approve any of them?
Yes.
Without looking at them, however, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what is the mark for identification as Exhibit 93. You identify that document.
Yes.
This, move to the introduction of Exhibit 93.
Exhibit 93 is submitted. You may refer to, ladies and gentlemen, you may refer to Exhibit 93.
This, I take it, was a proposed lease that was never executed.
Correct.
And it never went into effect, did it?
No.
Did you ever present this to Fifth Third Bank?
Yes.
What was the purpose of presenting it to Fifth Third Bank?
To build another building.
Why did you feel that you had to present it to Fifth Third Bank?
Because under the terms of the agreement, I had to submit LOIs or sign leases in order to construct the building.
Where, under the agreement, does it say, the terms of the agreement, that an LOI was sufficient? Can you show that to me?
No, I can't.
So do you know whether or not LOIs were sufficient or not pursuant to the agreement?
I don't know.
Let me hand you what I marked by identification as Exhibit 94. I'll ask you the same question. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Move the introduction of Exhibit 94.
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 94 is submitted. You may refer to 94.
What is this document?
It's a lease between Wayne Brum, which is Raymond James.
Raymond James is a tenant, correct?
Yes.
Are they still a tenant?
Yes.
And they leased the first building built, correct?
Building 2, yes.
And on page 22, the tenant cited by Wayne Brum, correct?
Yes.
And then Johanna cited
Yes.
as manager of City Center Complex.
Yes.
Did you ever tell her she was a manager?
No.
Did anyone, to your knowledge, ever tell her she was a manager?
No.
Was she ever presented, to your knowledge, with any documentation which showed her as a manager?
No.
Are you aware of any document that showed her as to having an ownership interest?
No.
Looking back at Exhibit 94, was that the one that Johanna signed?
Yes.
And you recognize that as her signature, right? It's on page 22.
Yes.
And did I ask you, did you give this to the bank Fifth Third?
I don't recall. I would assume yes.
They were asking for leases and you complied, right?
Yes.
If they had this in their file, there was no other way for them to get it except from you or someone working for you, correct?
Correct.
I'll show you now what has been marked by identification as Exhibit 95. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Did you sign this document?
Yes.
This was at least for what use?
Anytime Fitness.
They're still there, correct?
Yes.
This is the introduction of Exhibit 95.
No objection.
Exhibit 95 you may refer to. Is admitted.
When did they commence paying rent, if you know?
I don't know.
I note that on page 1-2, the lead-in sentence says, the lease is made the 19th day of blank 2005, but on the front it stated May 20th of 2006. You know when this lease was entered into?
I don't know.
Was it provided to Fifth Third Bank?
Yes.
Was it provided to Fifth Third Bank to comply with the terms of the construction loan agreement as they requested?
Yes. It should be part of the appraisal that was done prior to the loan.
Under 1.06, the term was to commence January 1, 2006. I'm sorry, yes, but it stated May 20, 2006 on the front. Do you think that's accurate, or is that incorrect?
Well, mine appears, it looks like it's scratched out and made into a 5.
You think this was more than likely signed in 05?
Yes.
That's because the commencement date was sometime in January of 06.
Yes.
Who did the build-out?
We did.
Who paid for the build-out?
They did.
Was that capitalized as part of the lease payments, or was it an upfront payment?
It was lease credits. There really wasn't a build-out for them. The vanilla box was their build-out.
But they had to do some final touches, put down carpeting, etc.
Yes, I'd have to ask Joe how that went down.
What type of lease credits are you talking about?
They, with Cold Stone and with them, they were given X amount of months rent based upon a credit for the build-out.
Where is that in the lease?
I don't know if it's in this one. I know it's Cold Stone for sure, but I don't know where it's at in this one.
So you don't know if that was the case on this one?
I don't know if that was the case on this one. No, I don't.
Again, you probably didn't read this before you signed it, at any rate, did you?
Correct.
You just signed it because you needed to sign it to get the deal done.
Yes.
Let me show you now what has been marked for identification as Exhibit 96. Do you recognize this document?
No.
Have you ever seen it before?
Not that I know of.
Do you know who Lori Donaldson is?
Yes.
Who is she?
Keepsakes.
Are they a tenant?
Not anymore.
They were a tenant?
Yes.
Did they assume their tenancy pursuant to this lease?
Yes, I do believe so.
Move for the introduction of Exhibit 96.
No objection.
No objection. All right. Exhibit 96 is admitted. Please, you may refer to it.
And it would appear that Johanna Plank signed as landlord or on behalf of the landlord.
Yes.
No, she signed as landlord individually on 10/23/06. Do you see that?
I see that.
Do you recognize that as her signature?
Yes.
Let me show you what has been marked for identification as Exhibit 97. Can you identify that document?
Yes.
This is just part of the entire document, correct?
Yes.
Did you sign that on behalf of City Center?
Yes.
Joanne witnessed your signature.
Yes.
Move for the introduction of Exhibit 97.
No objection.
Exhibit 97 is admitted. You may refer to Exhibit 96.
And she indicated such by signing her name, once again, correct?
Yes, her and Amy Taylor.
The Cold Stone Creamery, they're still there, is that true?
Yes.
Do you remember when they commenced paying rent?
No, I do not.
Did they have a credit also for their build-out?
Yes, they do their own build-out.
Do you recall what the terms of that credit were?
No, I do not.
Was it a year or less?
Less.
I'll hand you, under the mark for identification, as Exhibit 98. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Move the introduction of Exhibit 98.
Any objection?
No objection.
Exhibit 98 is admitted. You may refer to 98.
What is this document?
It's a letter of intent with Z-Grill.
Was this presented to the bank?
I don't know.
Did you sign it?
Yes.
Did Todd Pasca sign it?
Yes.
Did he sign it in your presence?
No.
He subsequently signed the lease, is that correct?
Yes.
Did the lease track the terms of this letter of intent?
I don't know.
Does Z-Grill serve alcohol?
Yes.
Do you know whose liquor license they utilize?
Yes.
Whose?
Formerly one of mine.
Did they buy it from you?
No.
Did you lease it to them?
Yes.
How much did they pay you to lease their liquor license?
Percentage of sales.
How much have you received as a result since they opened for business?
I don't know.
Give me an average per month.
Per month?
Yeah.
I think it's less than $1,000.
What percentage of sales do you receive?
10%.
So they're doing less than $10,000 a month in sales.
Liquor? Yes.
Who's the main manager for purposes of the Alcoholic Beverage Commission for that liquor license?
My daughter.
How does she pay you? By check or cash?
Check. Doesn't pay me anymore.
I'm sorry, I misread that. How does he pay you? By check or cash?
Check. He doesn't pay me anymore.
He stopped paying you?
He pays my daughter.
Why does he pay her?
Because she owns the license.
Did she buy it from you?
Yes.
When did she purchase that license?
I don't know the exact dates, but quite a while ago.
Was it within the past 5 years?
Yes.
How much did she pay for it?
I don't know offhand.
Was it more or less than $50,000?
Less.
Was it more or less than $25,000?
I don't know.
Did she make payment by cash or check?
By cash.
When the bank requested leases, did you provide those, or did Mary provide those, or a combination of the two of you, or Joe, or who provided them?
Usually a combination of Joe and I.
It seemed to me that for some of the leases, the entire lease was not provided at times. Do you know why that was so?
No, I do not.
Do you know whether or not the entire lease was provided on each occasion?
No.
Do you recall ever providing less than an entire lease?
No.
Let me hand you one of the marked for identification as Exhibit 27. Can you identify this document? This will be in the joint exhibition on the left.
It's a sworn construction statement.
Did you sign it at the bottom?
Yes, I did.
Did you review it before you signed it?
No.
Again, this is something you just signed, it had to be done in order to keep things moving. Is that true?
That is correct.
Let me hand you one of the marked for identification as Exhibit 28. You identify this document.
Yes.
Did you sign it?
Yes.
Did you review it before you signed it?
No.
Again, this is something that you counted on others to review on your behalf.
Yes.
Did you hire a lawyer to review your loan documents before they were executed?
No. I relied upon my banker.
Tell you what was in there. What did you rely upon him for?
The general scope of what we were doing and how much was going to be loaned. Brian and I had numerous meetings where we met and discussed the project.
Then as a result, those numerous meetings, conversations, the commitment letter was issued, ultimately the construction loan agreement, correct?
Yes.
Who prepared this sworn construction statement? Do you know?
No.
Was it reviewed by Study Center before funding?
It would have been reviewed by Joe.
Do you know if he prepared it or Mary prepared it? Do you know who?
It's a combination of both. Joe would give the contractor numbers, but some of the other numbers in the format in which it was presented was given by the bank.
What was your understanding of the process, the way the draws would work?
We would receive invoices from the contractors for the work done. The work was inspected by an outside consulting group who recommended payment, and then the numbers were submitted on these statements to be paid for.
Was that to be done on a monthly or how often?
I'd have to ask Joe.
You weren't in charge of that.
No.
And you had nothing to do with it.
No.
And you left it up to Joe, correct?
Yes.
In fact, Joe basically, it sounds like, spearheaded this whole process as far as dealing with the bank. Lining up contractors, getting numbers, he and Mary. Is that true?
Just Joe as far as lining up the contractors, making sure the payments were correct. Generally what a project manager does.
Is that basically what he was as vice president, project manager?
Yes.
Did you expect Fifth Third to rely upon the numbers set forth in these sworn construction statements in funding the loan?
Yes.
And Exhibit 28 was true and accurate, wasn't it, as far as you know?
Yes. The only question I would have on it is concerning the payments to Hawk because equity was taken out of their payment.
Well, let's skip forward to February, draw number 4. Let's take a look at Exhibit 29. You recognize this document.
Yes.
What is this?
Pardon me?
What is this?
Sworn construction statement number 4.
Dated February 9, 2006, correct?
Yes.
Did City Center present this to Fifth Third in order to obtain a draw?
Yes.
Did Joe and Mary prepare this?
Yes.
Are the numbers true and accurate, to the best of your knowledge?
To the best of my knowledge.
Did you have $210,000 to put into a cash account at Fifth Third Bank?
Sure.
What bank account would you have utilized to come up with that payment?
I didn't use a bank account.
You had cash?
Yes.
Cash on hand?
Yes.
You had it in the safe or something?
Yes.
How much cash did you have on hand?
At the time of the loan?
Yeah.
About $1 million.
Okay, 166. Did you ever ask Fifth Third Bank to remove any of the verbiage in Exhibit 4?
No.
Did Brian Speck ever tell you that you, City Center, did not have to comply with Exhibit 4?
No, he never told me that.
Did Joanne Steiger ever tell you that?
No.
Did Sean Keller ever tell you that?
No.
Did Dan Yantich ever tell you that?
No.
Page 185. Are you aware of any written document that you sent to Fifth Third Bank where you claim that you are either not in default or that you are in compliance with the loan documents?
I never sent anything. No.
Did anyone send anything on your behalf?
I don't know.
Did you direct anyone to do it?
No, I don't know, I should say. I don't know. I've had quite a few different attorneys on this.
You show me anywhere in any document you signed that required the bank to give you notice before they declared a default.
I don't know.
So you can't show me. Is that true? As we sit here today, can you show me one provision in any document that you signed that required Fifth Third to provide you notice of a default before they declared it?
I can't say.
Is that no, you can't?
No, I can't.
Did you ever disclose to Fifth Third Bank the mechanics lien that was filed by IB&B in May 2006?
I don't believe so. I'm not sure.
That concludes the direct exam.
How long you
I'm going to begin reading with the witness starting at page 210, line 12. It's quite short, but it's a
It is, all right, you're short. Yeah.
Are you ready? Okay. Mr. Plank, you began construction of City Center in July 2005.
Yes.
And were you in discussions with Mr. Speck about refinancing City Center with a construction loan beginning in about July of 2005?
Yes, I was in discussions with him to finance the project.
Was he aware that you were proceeding with the construction from July through October of 2005?
Objection calls for speculation on the witness as to what another witness knew.
Your Honor, these are discussions that Mr. Plank had with Mr. Speck, and we're asking about his awareness, what he personally knows to have discussed with Mr. Speck.
No, the question was he aware, meaning another person?
To Mr. Plank's understanding, was Mr. Speck aware?
That's speculative.
To that overlord.
Yes.
Did he or anyone else at the bank express any concerns about the manner in which you were proceeding with the construction between July and October of 2005?
No.
To the best of your knowledge, was he aware of what you were doing and how you were doing it?
Yes.
Were those procedures and activities you were doing at City Center and Hawk from July through October going to be acceptable under the construction loan?
Yes.
And specifically, were they going to be acceptable to the bank?
Objection, foundation, speculation.
Once again, this is Mr. Blake's understanding, based on the discussions he had with Mr. Specht about the bank's understanding and about his understanding of what this loan was going to be about.
Overruled.
Yes,
And how do you know that?
because Brian told me that everything I was doing was fine.
Did he discuss with you the parameters that were going to be included in the construction loan agreement?
The only thing that we really discussed concerning the documents was how much I had to have before I could start a building. I mean, as far as leases.
And what did he tell you on that?
He told me 50% I allowed to get going, 75% to start another building unless I had another building completely leased. Then they would let me start that one because you're kind of like putting the cart before the horse.
What did Mr. Specht tell you about the loan documents that you executed in October of 2005 and how they compared to the discussions you had?
Your Honor, I'm going to interject oral evidence. Based on oral evidence, it was prior or arranged discussions are inadmissible.
This whole deposition has been about his discussions with bank representatives.
Not prior to the execution of the loan agreement, Your Honor.
Are we talking about prior to the execution of the
Yes, and a significant portion of the deposition has been pertaining to his understanding of the loan documents.
Overruled.
Just that it was boilerplate bank stuff that had a whole bunch of stickers that said sign here. It was a stack about that tall and then I had to sign them.
Did he make any representations to you about what was included in this packet of loan documents? Whether it was any different than what you had discussed previously?
No.
No, he didn't make any representations, or no, he didn't tell you there was anything different.
He didn't say there was any difference between what we discussed and what I was signing.
After you executed the loan documents on or about October 21st, 2005, did your practices with construction at City Center change at all?
No.
Did the bank express any concerns about your practices during the time that you were dealing with Mr. Specht?
No.
Did the bank give you direction and parameters in how they wanted you to report on the status of the construction during the tenure of Mr. Specht?
Only in concern with the sworn construction statements.
And did you follow all the directions and parameters that were provided to you by Mr. Specht?
Him and whoever was administering the sworn construction statements, I don't know. I forgot what the person's name was.
We've had two buildings we've talked about, Building 1 and Building 2, that you were vertically erecting at City Center. We've used different numbers.
2 and 6.
Yes, which I think we've heard today is Building 1 and Building 2. Did anyone ever express any concern to you about the construction of those two buildings during the time you were dealing with Mr. Specht?
No.
By anyone, I mean anyone at the bank.
No.
And you first became aware of Joanne Steiger in middle or late May of 2006, is that correct?
I think that was the date. I can't tell you for sure.
Up until that point in time, had anyone from the bank told you that your performance under the loan documents was inadequate or in breach?
No.
Now, you recall you were asked about, I believe this document is not in evidence yet, Exhibit 16, which is an email of May 19th from Joanne Steiger.
Is it in the red book?
I think it is. I'll try to.
I know it's in City Center book, but I think pass another book to this thing. I can tell you the case number.
Is it 16 in the red book?
I believe it's 51 of the red book. I'm sorry. 51 of the red book.
Hold on. Do you have any objections to 51?
No, it's already exhibit, Your Honor.
Pardon me?
It's already exhibit. The rest
Okay.
are exhibits.
At 51, you can refer to 51.
Now, as you recall, you were asked about Exhibit 51, which was an email from Ms. Steiger on May 19, 2006.
Yes.
So, I'm sorry, I'll give you guys a second. Now, you recall you were asked about this Exhibit 51, which was an email from Ms. Steiger on May 19, 2006.
Yes.
She raises some questions.
Yes.
Did you address all of those questions?
Yes.
Did anyone ever express any concerns about your answers to those questions?
No.
Did anyone from the bank ever tell you that City Center was in default because of the numbering of the building?
No.
Did anyone from the bank ever tell you that City Center was in default because of the 210 equity requirement?
No.
Did anyone from the bank ever tell you that you were in default because of the leasing requirement for buildings, here it's listed as 2 and 5 or 6?
No.
Did anyone ever tell you from the bank that you were in default because of the leasing or rent rules?
No.
Did anyone ever tell you you were in default because of the Flexicor materials being stored off-site?
No.
I'd like you to take a look at Exhibit 4. This is in the joint book. It's the loan document. I'm not going to refer back to it. It's the same that we've been referencing repeatedly. I want you to run through those again, A through H. Did anyone at the bank ever tell you City Center was in default because of the failure to follow the requirement to provide sworn contractor statements?
No.
Did anyone from the bank ever tell you City Center was in default because of the 75% appraised value requirement of paragraph 1.3b?
No.
Did anyone ever tell you City Center was in default because of the requirement to fund construction through an escrow account with the lender's title company?
No.
Did anyone ever raise any questions or tell you that City Center was in default regarding the survey requirements, 1.3b?
No.
Did anyone from the bank at any time ever tell you City Center was in default for failure to obtain 50% leases reflected in paragraph 1.3e?
No.
Did anyone from the bank ever tell you at any time City Center was in default for failure to meet 75% lease requirement in paragraph 1.3f?
No.
Did anyone from the bank ever tell you at any time that City Center was in default for failure to meet the equity requirement of $210,000 reflected in paragraph 1.3g?
No.
Did anyone from the bank ever tell you City Center was in default for failure to provide the final stamp, executed, and approved plat of the planned unit development?
No.
Reflected in 1.3h.
No.
And I want you to take a look at this. This is referencing an exhibit, a letter that was sent on November 17, 2006, which was the same referred to during Mr. Beach's opening statement, the default letter from the bank. And we will be requesting its admission as evidence, but it is not currently situated, I believe, in any of the books that the jurors have.
Okay. Do you have it? What are you planning on introducing now?
During our testimony of Brian Stack, I have a feeling I'll just reference it at this point. We'll pull it up.
Is there an objection to it?
Mr. Stack.
But I have a substantive objection to the document.
All right.
Okay. The letter sent November 17, 2006. Is that November 17, 2006 letter the first notice of default you received from anybody by or on behalf of the bank?
I believe so.
And has anyone from the bank prior to the institution of litigation told you that City Center was in default for any reason other than failure to timely remit payment on the notes?
No.
No further questions.
Is that all with the switches?
There's nothing for you. Nothing for
Step
this.
down. Who's the next? Who you calling next?
I believe Brian Stack.
He's going to take a while, I would think. On the break now and then come back for after lunch.
About an hour?
Oh,
Okay.
Lazar's point was, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take recess now for lunch. We'll resume